Hey guys, TCGLover here. My exams are now over. Fantastic. So now means I can dedicate a lot more of my time to doing Yu-Gi-Oh videos. So if you're not subscribed already, then don't forget to click the subscribe link, which should be just above the video, and don't forget to comment. So yeah, this is to get back into the swing of things. I'm going to do a card review on a card from Abyss Rising called Heroic Gift. It's supposedly part of the heroic archetype. However, it doesn't actually do anything related to the deck whatsoever. It's interesting. If your opponent's life points are 2,000 or less, your opponent's life points become 8,000, and then you draw 2 cards. You can only activate one of these a turn. What this does is essentially your opponent's at a critical point on their life points, and then you can just make it back to the way it was before at the beginning, and they draw 2. That's handy to have the draw power. However, as well as players complaining and saying that stuff like Solemn Warning, Solemn Judgment, life points can be expended quite hastily and quite a lot at once if it means that you can negate your opponent's stuff and win. So it's a sacrifice that every player is playing. Life points are just kind of it's money like these days, you're spending it to make something out of it. So Heroic Gift basically says that if your opponent's used all these cards, or they haven't even used them yet, you can make them 8,000 and draw 2. So if your opponent is at a critical place and you are about to beat them, then I don't really understand why you would use this card. However, if you need that extra 2 cards and you know you can OTK them, then you can put them back at 8,000 and then you can take them all the way down to 0 in one turn. So it has that kind of benefit of promoting OTKs in certain sense. Obviously stuff like Exodia can use it. Decks that run 2,000 beaters, stuff like Gravekeepers, because they can chip your opponent down to exactly 2,000 in just a matter of a couple of turns. So putting them at 2,000 and letting them go back up to 8,000, and then you drawing. So basically you can get your advantage way beyond your opponent does. You can get more cards in hand, you can set more, you can do everything like that. In exchange, you put your opponent back up to the top. So in some sense, it's a bit pointless to draw, but your opponent goes back up to the beginning. But I mean, it's a great way so that if you go all out on your opponent and it doesn't succeed, and you are down about 3 or 4 cards behind your opponent, and you know that they're going to be able to chip away at your resources really easily while you're going to have a bit of trouble. You know, you've only got a couple of cards in hand, you've got a monster on the field, but they've got 4 or 5 cards in hand and they play Light Swans. You're thinking, oh shit, they're going to drop a JD. You know, you don't really feel like, the fact is that you have 8,000 life points, and you know that you're not going to be able to take out their extra 2,000 this turn, and you haven't got the cards to take them out until you have more. And so you need to sit back a bit and get more control back. So this card can help with that. It can help give your opponent their life points, which to you doesn't matter at this point, and then you draw. So if you think about it, it's very handy, but only at the right situations. And obviously you can't activate this card early game unless you get your opponent down really low. If you can't make 8,000 and OTK them, then you can bring them down as much as possible under 2,000 and activate this, so then you get another go next turn. So you can basically draw into your Solemn Judgments and your protection cards simply. And obviously if you chain this to your opponent's MST, then you +3 essentially. So that's fantastic. So that's pretty much it to say about the card. I mean, it's really interesting. That's all I can say. It's got potential, but I just don't see it being played competitively. But I think it's a really interesting card. It depends on what you gotta think outside the box of what deck you can use it in. You know, just think about decks that push hard. And if you gotta use it to make up for OTKs in case you don't make it, like they drop Gauze on the second to last attack, and then you need to get some draw power back and re-establish a hand, so you can deal with their onslaught of their turn essentially. So yeah, that's my review. Thanks for watching, guys. TCGLover out. Alright guys, my question to you: does this card have a place in our current meta? Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.